My 11th Circle presents Cricbuzz Live in association with the Weather Channel. Well, first things first, the weather's fine. So the Weather Channel gave us a good forecast. Now the second thing, 167. Is that good? Is that not good? We had a flourish at the end, 20 runs in the last over. But before that, just 23 in the previous 4. We're starting to think, is the ball gripping? But then Krunal and Jadeja hit the sixes at the end. Aakash Chopra is with me and Joy is...
Joy is happy.
Well done. Tell us what it feels to have to be on the expert couch.
It's nice to have a Mumbai Indians guy get me there. One Mumbai Indians and one CSK player get me there. But yeah, fantastic. It's great to see that last over. And they didn't hit a boundary for the previous 4 overs before that.
You know, when you're sitting on a throne, you sit really comfortably in style. You can sit back. You don't have to sit like you're about to get into a volleyball serve or something.
Point. I can never sit back. My problem in life.
Aakash, what do you think of the score?
167 is a good total.
Yeah.
It's a total that you should get to also after the start that India had, 52 in the first 6 overs.
Yes.
And Rohit Sharma going on to score 67 or 51, Virat Kohli. I thought if he wasn't dismissed at that point in time, you wouldn't need the flourish of 23 runs in the last over to get to, or rather 20 runs to get to 167. India would have reached there easily without KP and Ravindra Jadeja hitting 3 sixes in the last over. I think 167 is a good total, but it is not out of the reach of West Indies is what I feel. Yes, it's a slowish, sluggish surface, but it's not as slow or sluggish as it was yesterday.
I mean, Aakash made a very interesting point. I was just looking down, over 16, 17, 18, there's Virat Kohli batting, there's Manish Pandey batting, briefly there was Rishabh Pant batting, and neither of them could get away. But you're right that none of those actually fell to the oddities of the pitch. Now,
it's a misleading. It's very, very misleading. This 16 to 20 doesn't tell you the story.
Because 23 in the first 4 and then 20 of the last 5, so it's a bit misleading. So yeah, none of those wickets fell to the oddities of the pitch. That's what your point was. My point was that they had to play the big shots to get out because they were not getting the 1s and 2s because of the surface.
You know, we are touch players actually. So when you look at Indian batsmen from Rohit Sharma to Shikhar Dhawan to Virat Kohli to Rishabh Pant and to Manish Pandey, you'll find all these players, they've got decent technique, they're good eye-hand coordination players, but they are also the ones who want the ball to come on to the bat nicely. They are not someone who are actually going to muscle the ball, except the only exception is Rishabh Pant, and he got dismissed quite cheaply once again. But other than him, everybody wants the ball to come on to the bat nicely, and that's not always the case for someone who's a hard hitter. Who just holds the bat right at the top and then goes after the ball, whether it's Kieron Pollard or the way Evan Lewis bats or Carlos Brathwaite if he gets going. So for them, the slowness of the surface is not going to be that much of a deterrent as compared to how it is for the Indian batsmen, because we want pace off the surface, we want pace in the air to really start our stroke making. That's not the case.
You know, it's interesting as well. We had this talk about whether India have the power hitters at the end. We saw Krunal Pandya hitting 2, Jadeja hitting 1, but those were 3 of the last 6 balls. I'm not sure even today after what we've seen, because Kohli's got 28 of 23 balls.
1-4, 1-6, that's it.
There you go. Manish Pandey was trying to play the big shots. I still think he should be batting higher up the order rather than lower. Is that still an issue that India don't have the power finishers yet?
I still think, I think
they're short. We'll have to wait and see.
I think they're short, and I think Pant has been a bit disappointing. Both the times they got dismissed are a bit disappointing. It's not a question of attempting the shot. It's probably more, for me, the problem is knowing where the field is. And that kind of a ramp, you know, and you've played it and you know that the third man has been moved fine. It went right down his throat. If the third man had been squarer, you know, that ball might have gone for a 6. But the point is the third man has been moved, and therefore you're starting to question not anything else, but as a player, to just be aware of what's happening around you. Has the third man been moved? Has that? Those are little things that bother me a little bit, because there's no doubting Rishabh Pant's talent.
You know, it's interesting. I get the feeling Rishabh Pant is a bit like a star who's got a hit with his first 2 movies and is now starting to think, do I play like the star? Do I try and act differently? And he's getting caught a little bit in between, I think. You know, what is his best way of playing?
You know, the funny thing is, Shikhar Dhawan actually played the identical shot to 2 different bowlers and got dismissed in the same fashion.
Yes.
We're not talking about him.
No.
And he's an opener. He gets 20 overs to bat.
Yes.
We've got Rohit Sharma who got to 67. 9 out of 10 times he would convert that 67 into 100 and India would reach 180. A full ball, Virat Kohli actually missing and getting dismissed, that does not happen often, but it did happen today. It was a good ball, but the fact also is that Virat Kohli missed it. Then Manish Pandey also came in, who was dismissed to a Yorker yesterday, got dismissed today again, but we're not talking about him either. We're only talking about Rishabh Pant. First ball slog yesterday, a ramp shot, an uppercut today, and getting dismissed because he's bringing that conversation on the table all the time.
Because of the hype surrounding
Correct.
him,
So that's
he's drawing attention to himself, and I'm starting to think whether that's hurting him.
It may be the case, but all these young cricketers will need time, and that is why he's so good in the IPL, because he's got the assurity of playing 14 games on the trot. You give him that kind of assurance.
Better batting pitches as well, you think, on the IPL?
See, Firozshah Kotla is a bad pitch. So he also plays 8 of those 14 or 7 of those 14 games on a pitch that does not suit his game. But that is where he actually got a century against the Sunrisers.
Yeah, but also that's because the boundaries are the size of the studio.
Correct. So it's so this ground that they were playing here as well isn't a huge ground either. It's just that you will find a lot of people doing well in the IPL because there is this guarantee of playing 14 games. You give him that kind of assurance, I think he'll come good eventually.
I think he's got that actually now. I think the fact that Dhoni is not on this tour, I think he's got that assurance now that the next few games are yours. He's virtually guaranteed to play both test matches unless there's an injury. So he's actually, him and Pandey, I think, are among the most stable players in the Indian side at the moment. I don't know whether he thinks that way. Anyway, the bigger story actually was Rohit Sharma. 67 or 51, got off to a start. Rohit hit what, 3 sixes?
Yeah.
And in doing so now has hit the maximum sixes in T20 internationals, strike rate 131. When he took off, we started to wonder about the pitch report. Towards the end, we're starting to wonder about the pitch report again. So, 107
absolutely. And I
sixes.
think Rohit Sharma as a batsman, that's his timing, his ability. And so often he does that everyone else looks pedestrian and looks like they're playing on a different pitch. He makes it look so easy. He makes it look so different. He's done that consistently. And that's one of the problems also, because, if you're a batsman sitting outside and you don't know what Rohit Sharma is all about, you're wondering, this looks okay to bat on. I can bat on that. And then you go out and say it's not the same thing.
Cottrell got the ball to swing. That was an interesting one. Yeah.
Towards
the end, he was
towards
swinging
the
the
end.
ball.
Initially, they couldn't control
The
it.
one to Kohli?
So both of them actually were very expensive, Ocean Thomas and Sheldon Cottrell, to begin with, wides and all of that. But they actually came back quite strongly.
Yes.
4 overs 27, 4 overs 25, and that's
figures.
courtesy some outstanding bowling towards the latter half of the innings, where they actually also got wickets each. Actually, Sheldon Cottrell dismissed Virat Kohli. That ball tailed back in, which is very surprising to see in a T20 game. Ocean Thomas used the short ball to good effect and removed Rishabh Pant there. So these two actually bowled all right. Carey Pair bowled only 2 and not his quota of 4. Sunil Narayan going wicketless is also a bother of concern, because, or rather, it's a bit of a bother that he is not taking wickets. If he doesn't take wickets, then this side obviously loses that kind of teeth that they want.
Somebody to your left just perked up when you said Sunil Narayan.
I think Sunil Narayan now is the kind of bowler who needs batsmen to attack him to get wickets. You can't, there was a time that even if you played defensive to him, he'd get through to you. Now he needs you to attack, and he needs to trick you in
That's
his
true of virtually every wrist spinner, etc. Everyone. None of the wrist spinners who are doing so well in T20 are taking wickets in longer formats anyway, because people aren't attacking them.
Narayan's big issue is not the approach to him. I think it has a lot to do with the action that has changed.
When the action got remodeled, it took a little bit of the fizz out anyway.
Correct.
And that's the point Joy is making. Before the remodeled action, he would beat people in defense.
Yeah.
Now he can no longer beat people in defense.
So that is where actually you use him differently. See, if people are not attacking you, then you put your bowler in situations where they're forced to attack you. So then you bowl an over in the last 3 or 4 overs. You bowl in the power play overs. You throw him to Rohit Sharma when he's set and he's going after you. So that is how you actually use these bowlers, because he does have the potential and the experience to be top batsman.
In his prime, we would say that KKR batted 20 overs and bowled 16.
Correct.
Because it's a bit like Malinga at his prime, Sunil Narayan at his prime. Now he's going to come out to open the batting again.
Correct.
And that means the last game, India opened with Washington Sundar. And now you're not going to open with a spinner, because that's what he loves. So come and
You will not open. You won't see a Goodland delivery in the first 2 overs. That is not to him. There's no question, because he knows only one way to bat. And that works for him. If he gets it, he makes good contact, But he doesn't have a second game. He doesn't have a second string. So
some
he
might
has to
say,
wipe it.
Joy, some might say that's a good thing about him because he doesn't consume deliveries. So he doesn't waste balls. Either he goes for it or he gets out in 8 or 9 balls. So he's not used up a lot of deliveries.
Agreed. The only problem is his game gets predictable. It's not that, okay, he'll touch it for you, so you try and attack him a bit. You know this is what is going to come. If I keep the ball up here, he's going to struggle. He's going to try and uppercut me a bit, and his uppercut is not great. He needs to basically swing low. And that's why even in the IPL, his efficacy as a batsman, and you ask yourself, see, there's one other problem. Especially, when it comes to these T20 games. Suppose Sunil Narine gets going. It's not that he can keep going. If you give a class batsman and he's set and he's played the first 3-4 overs where he has a chance to attack and he makes 25-30, you think this guy's going to make 100, he could make 100. Say Rohit Sharma. If a Rohit Sharma consumes as many balls as him or a Shikhar Dhawan does, you say they'll go on to more things. The thing about Sunil Narine is he may not consume balls, but he's not going to come and make 120 for you or 100 for you.
Which is okay, you're chasing 167. So if you're 167, first 6 overs, you break the back of this run chase. That's all you want.
If you can
play 20 balls, get 35. India is pushed on the back foot. Suddenly, you don't know what to do. And that's all you need from Sunil Narine. If it comes off, it's a grand move because it changes the game in a jiffy.
Right, about to start, the one thing I want to look forward to is if the ball stops. If the ball comes onto the bat, then you've got a series of batsmen who love batting. Left-handers just keep going after it. Actually, lots of left-handers. Evan Lewis, Sunil Narine, Nicholas Pooran, Shimron Hetmyer. There's a lot of left-handers in India. Have got 2 left-arm spinners. If the ball stops, India have got a great chance. Otherwise, where's it going? Come on, expert. Let's see if we can drag the.
I expect actually this to be a good game. See, my mind still says that India should, but my heart says it should be West Indies.
Okay.
It should be West Indies and Guyana. Let's keep the series alive.
Come on, Joy.
He's a kind man. Series alive. Good of cricket. Cricket is the winner. India needs to be the winner.
Okay.
Win by 15.
15? I'm actually going. I thought India will win by 22, 23 runs.
Right. Okay. 5 wickets.
Okay, there you go. We've got a difference of opinion. We'll wait and see. We'll come back to you, of course, at the end of the 10th over on Cricbuzz Combox.